What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Stereotherapy. I'm your host, Lisa, and as always, Justine is right here with me. If you're new here, we are a show that showcases the importance of music and mental health. Sometimes Justine and I will share our own stories of how music has made an impact, and other times we will have some guests to share their story. And we have a lot of guests on the way, and this is the first time I've been able to say that, and we're so excited about that. I know we say this every episode, but it would mean a lot to Justine and I if you would hit that follow button and subscribe to our podcast. It really helps us out. And we're at almost 100 subscribers, which is insane to think about. And we appreciate every single person that has done so already. You can also rate and review the podcast as well on any app you are currently listening to this. I will give a personal virtual hug, shout out, or high five, whichever you prefer, to the first person to write us an actual review. We haven't had one yet, so I'm just throwing that out there. Whether you love or hate it, we'd love to hear from you guys. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, let us know and we'll do that. As always, you can also head over to our website at www.stereotherapypod.com. You can read our blog, say hi, and listen to our show over there. Today, Justine and I are creating the soundtrack to our lives. This is going to be a lot of fun, and we're both really looking forward to this. Justine, I got to check in with you. It's Sunday. We're here. We're going to make it to that Tuesday episode. I know I always joke, like, if we're going to make it. And usually that's on me because, like, I'm been so crazy busy, but how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay today. I've been having some issues with nerve pain this week and having it drain me and sleeping like all of yesterday, but I'm doing good today.
Good, because like I know when I heard that I was like, oh, because I can relate to that with G and seeing him go through his nerve pain, and that's no joke. So I think anyone else going through that, oh, but we're here. We've made it. We survived another week. So, um, but I guess too, like it's just been so crazy here now. Like I said, with the guests, like we do have a lot of stuff on the way and a lot of ideas about episodes coming up too. Like Justine and I will constantly be like, hey, let's do this one, or what about this one? Like I have a list that's really
Yeah.
long, which is gonna help us through this and get it going. And it's really exciting time. So again, like, and I am horrible and terrible, everybody. So last week was not the end of our second season because when I went back and counted and it said, hey, you're at episode, 23. And I said, no way. So today is the end of our second season. But like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like we can kind of control this. But I just thought that was too funny. That was like, oh, well, whatever. But so if you've been following along, today is the end of the second season. And what a fun episode to end on. And again, thank you to everyone too that's been listening to the Under Oath episode, because that episode and the 1 week, obviously, other than the week that Anthony Green was wonderful and shared our podcast, that was our biggest week of listens in less than a week. So thank you guys so much for checking out the Under Oath episode. If you are just tuning in and miss it, go back because we loved that one. So go check that out. And before we share our soundtracks to our lives, let's sort of share how music has made an impact on our lives. And I know everyone's thinking too, haven't you already shared that? Yeah, but it's just, again, new listeners. And again, I chose some different things to talk about and throw in, and I'm sure Justine did. But Justine, I want you to have the floor. How else has music impacted you that maybe we haven't heard yet?
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably a lot of what I'm going to say I've already said, but
Yeah, same.
we're just going to refresh everybody.
Yes.
So music has always been in my life because my parents always considered it very important. Music was always playing in our house. My dad played violin, and we were encouraged to play any kind of instrument or anything as well. I've played the violin, the viola, the French horn, and piano, and I also had voice lessons. I was the only one in my family ever to be interested in like singing. So everybody else was only like instruments wise, but I didn't speak until I was 4. So I feel like music kind of helped encourage my speech issues I had. because once I did talk, I really loved to sing, and I kinda think that's what kinda encouraged me to, like, be very passionate more so about singing than anything else. And with my autism, I have a lot of trouble knowing and describing my feelings. So, music has really helped a lot when it comes to that, and it still does. Music was quite literally therapy for me, and it helped me stay alive whenever I was suicidal in my teen years. And even, as adulthood, like, I've never gotten back to being really suicidal, but every once in a while, the thoughts can still pop up, you know? And if it wasn't for music, I definitely wouldn't be here.
Oh, I mean, I agree with a lot about what you said and feel that way. And I know we've shared a lot, and that's actually why it's so wonderful that I get to do this podcast with you. I mean, besides just loving you in general, but like the fact that we have that similar feeling with music, because it's I think it just speaks to a lot of people. And yeah, well, one, I again, like it goes without saying that like I'm so glad you're here. I think everybody else that listening to this, or like just your fur babies and everybody, we're just so glad you're here with us, because like it is, and it's I think that's what's so powerful with music. And I mean, just oh god, like music for me is everything. And I think that's no secret to anyone that's listened to our podcast, whether it's you or I talking. It is like you can tell. And I feel like when I was thinking about this episode, I was really thinking about what tracks would be in the soundtrack, and it absolutely wasn't easy. Music is everything and everywhere for me, whether it's in my car, while I'm cooking, or just attached to so many memories. And I put music in front of a lot of things. And I love how right now music in my life is like totally at the forefront again. Because again, when I was going through a lot of mental health struggles, I didn't listen to a lot of music, which is really weird to think about. And like anyone that knows me is probably like, no way. But yeah, like I would listen to the radio of all things, like I said before. Like, and again, no, not downing radio. Radio is wonderful. I wanted to get into that myself. But yeah, not really my thing. So I love how now that things have shifted a bit, it's still in my life and in the forefront. But, like, again, for so long, whether it was people I was dating, friends in my life, I really just suppressed that part of me, and I'm here to tell you, do not do it. Don't ever suppress anything you love, whether it is I'm just gonna throw G under the bus here, D&D he had a D&D night. Whether it's a D&D night, a love for gaming, art, anime, music, dancing, cooking, comedy, do not ever suppress anything for yourself, because that's what makes you you. So again, if you get anything out of this, definitely just seriously stick with it. So again, do not ever suppress that. Like if I could tell myself anything in my younger self is don't ever, ever suppress that. If you're passionate about anything, just put it out there. And especially in my life with my anxiety and what I consider an undiagnosed ADHD case. Still working towards that. Cannot wait. But like in my worst moments, if I put on those headphones on, I go for that drive and just go listen to that favorite band. I completely just felt and always felt I was at my most peaceful moments, even when things maybe were not as peaceful. But I just felt with that crutch of those headphones. And again, I mentioned in a previous episode, music has been that crutch, and especially when I moved out here to the East Coast. If I didn't have my music, again, Justine, I'm 100% honest in this.
Mhm.
I don't think I would be here today. And I've told
Yeah.
people that, like, I don't really think that. And I know it's really heavy for anyone to hear or hear someone say. And I'm sure a lot of you guys listening to this can relate to that. And I think that just shows how powerful music is to all of us, and how many of us have been so just deeply moved by it in any way. And I guess there are just so many moments in these past 4 years that I really didn't think I would make it. And the fact that I'm still here out on the other side of my worst mental health days, I just hope, again, anyone listening to this can relate to this. And I'm hoping if you haven't yet, that your other side will happen soon for you. Because again, a lot in my life is going down. It has happened. And I am on that other side. And I'm telling you, I just hope your other side is soon. It will come. It took me 4 years, but it will come, and I promise you, like, just oh, I'm getting, like, all, like, emotional thinking about, like, my f how long it took me and anyone listening to this just going through any mental health struggle, like, I promise it gets better, and I know that sounds really cliche, but I 100% do, like, it will get better, but it does, and I think it's just like I think that's why so many of us also turn to concerts and music just to release all that we're going through and have that connection and how important it is to so many of us, and I even, think about you, Justine, and how without a love of circa and needing to wait in line all day like I used to, I would have met you. Like that would have
Yeah,
never have happened. Like that need of I need to be front row. I need to wait in line all day. I need to catch a glimpse of my favorite singer, songwriter, band. We wouldn't be doing this. And it just
exactly.
even the show aside, like you have made my life so much better. And I'm so thankful for that. And again, it's because of music. And I think for so long too, I was so made fun of it because so many would say, "Oh, Lisa, every band is her favorite band." And as
Mhm.
much as that hurts sometimes to hear that, and I was bullied,
Yeah,
I just loved music and anything and everything I could get my hands on to feel something and that connection. And I loved talking about it. And I would be that kid to research any band I fell in love with because I wanted to be in the know of every single thing and like getting into my local scene and then art school. And then here we are. So, I mean, that timeline, but it is like without music, none of those pieces would have fell into place. And
oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you can relate so much to
Oh,
that.
so much to it, like, everything you said, like, going back to, like, the whole idea of, like, don't, you know, suppress yourself when it comes
Mhm.
to everything because, like, we've both been through that,
Yeah,
and the fact is, like, I think anybody can relate to that, whether it's abusive relationships or abusive friendships, because
yeah.
I think a lot of people don't think that friendships can be abusive, but they can be.
Mhm. Yes.
And I definitely, yeah, I definitely have gone through that quite a bit with both situations. And I can 100% agree with you on that. Like, do not feel ashamed of anything that you like because there's a reason why you like it. And you should stand up for yourself with it, even though it seems scary if somebody else is not going to like it. Don't hide that part of yourself because I now am to the point where it's like, thank goodness, like with this podcast and having great friendships and a very supportive partner, I don't have to really be ashamed of it anymore. If anything, like even if it's something that like my friends or like my boyfriend doesn't like they're not going to like just rip me apart for it. And it makes you you. So like don't
Mhm.
hide any parts of yourself, even if you feel like it's not what everybody else likes. And oh my gosh, just like you just went over a lot. That's all very
Oh
relatable,
god,
you know?
when I was thinking about what to do, and even me, I think of my younger self and where I did suppress a lot, where I mean, I'll be honest, there was a period in my life I was not with a very good partner. And I think it was one of those things too, I almost became like, I don't want to say ashamed of, but like we were two totally different
No,
people. And
I mean, totally. Like, I know I got to that point where I felt ashamed of who I was and what I
yeah.
liked
Oh my God.
because it didn't feel like I was allowed to like it. Because if I did like it, I was gonna get made fun of.
Yeah, and, like, I dated someone literally how I'll remember, like, when Blink first had their first reunion, and I was like, "Oh my god, Blink is back, oh, yeah, 2009," whatever it was, right? And
Yeah.
he was like, "Oh, that band, they're gay." And I'm like,
Oh
"Okay." Like,
god.
even if they
Yeah,
were,
and
what
it's so
okay,
funny that
who
you bring up
cares?
Blink-182 in general
Yeah,
because my ex hated them, and I really wanted to see
I
them,
know,
okay?
I hope you do.
And I think we talked about that even, like,
Mhm.
even with this, like, reunion, it was just because it was too like, really expensive to get to,
Yeah,
but, like, especially, like, the last time they got together, because my ex didn't like them, like, of course we're not gonna see them. Like, why would we
right.
go see them? Like, and they're expensive. We're not doing
Oh,
that. Just like, and why
yeah.
do you like them anyways? They're stupid. And like,
Mhm.
and all these things where it was like, oh, is it? really stupid for me to like this band that much because,
Right.
like, I felt ashamed about it. You know, it
Mhm.
can't like I felt ashamed of liking Blink. I felt ashamed of liking Good Charlotte for the longest time.
Same. Fall Out Boy is one of
Um,
mine, like, fits right in there with
oh,
me, you know what I mean? Like, and that's
uh, any of those
countless.
like really
Mhm.
poppy punk bands, like
Right.
Simple Plan, like
Yeah,
okay, like
right. No.
um, and so like after I left that my ex, it was a lot of like, you know what I mean, like really coming down to like what was I not allowed to like,
Mhm.
and starting to listening to them again and reliving that joy. So,
Yeah.
like, I got really into Blink again. I got back in tune with like all the 90s pop, that stuff I liked because he wouldn't listen to really anything 90s. Um just like basically anything that I loved prior to our relationship, I got back in touch with because it helped me kind of find myself again of who I was before that relationship because
Mhm.
I was with him for 12 years.
Right.
It was like, who am I at this point that was not forced to like something? You know what I mean? Where it
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
like more so his personality than was mine. And so I really had to do some like searching, and there was a bunch of bands that I got back in touch with that I knew he didn't like, but also bands that I liked before him. So like Brand New, for instance, like he liked
Mhm.
them too, but I liked them before I met him.
Right.
So I was kind of able to get in touch with that again and like stuff like that. And um I feel like so many people don't realize that so many people can like shame you so much for something that you like that you think that you can't like them anymore.
Mhm.
And that shouldn't be the case. Like, it shouldn't matter what other people think. But like again, I'm a people pleaser. I am
Same.
a high masking autistic. So the idea of people perceiving me in this way that's not liked has really messed with my brain over the years. Whereas now I'm just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna like
Uh,
what I like.
yeah.
I don't care if other people think that it's like a joke of a band or just like ridiculous. If it's what I like, if it makes me happy, then that's what matters. And I wish more people would realize that, and get in
Mhm.
touch with that because making you happy is more important than making other people happy.
Oh, that's so important because there was a time where I always wanted to do this thing and talk about music and interview bands and do everything music related, and it was one of those things that, like, it it's hard to describe to you, and I'm sure anyone listening to this can feel it if you've been with a partner like that, where there was a
Yeah.
time I had all posters on my wall and I took them down because I was like, "Oh, what's this for?" Like, "Oh, I can't
Yeah.
be like this." And again, I'm just like speaking to my younger self because it's easier for me now being in my oh God, late 30s. I am 37. Hello. Being in my late 30s, everybody, but being in my late 30s and like now looking at the younger 20-year-old self and like, hey, no matter what people say, and again, like I have like the middle ringing in, and that is a song that's going to be on my
Hmm.
soundtrack. But
Oh
like,
yeah.
for me, it's not worrying what people are going to say, and I think nowadays too. So it's like if that's one thing is if anyone says it, whether you're making TikToks, whatever the hell you're doing, and you love music and you're showing that, be you.
Hmm.
Like that's the
Yeah.
number one thing in this podcast. Like, be you, because I went through a period where I did question a lot. And looking back, I'm like, oh, like I literally tore down like these posters I had on my wall of like
Hmm.
old school Fall Out Boy stuff, like old school shit that I will never get back. And I was just really not really doing well in that relationship and this and that. And so yeah, I mean, they're gone forever, and, like, now, like, why did I but again, there was a lot going on there and a lot to
Yeah.
unpack, but it's, I guess I would just, like, take that girl, like, that 20-year-old version and be like, "Oh, be you now," because now I was a big people pleaser as a
Hmm.
kid.
Yeah. Yeah, good.
Some of
It's kind of a
myself.
tongue twister.
Yeah, I'm like, "Oh god," but bring it back, but, it's like I'm glad that I'm different now, and I'm not
Yeah.
as I still am in some ways, but again, like, do you, love your thing, whatever genre it is, whatever band, like, wait in line all day. You never know who you can meet,
Oh,
do you,
100%.
like, do you, everybody. And I mean, I know I have so many favorite memories, but we can dive into a little bit, like any of our favorite memories that we haven't shared yet, or yet, like involving music. We're gonna share them, whether it's a favorite concert or falling in love, or a specific band. But again, Justine, I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna make it hard on you and let you go first and have the stage. Or is there any like memories that maybe you haven't shared or anything that
Oh my
sticks out?
gosh. So, it took me a minute to try to think about this one because, as most of you probably know, I've been seeing shows since I was 11. So I really was like, okay, what show can I talk about? And of course, one of my favorite shows was my first Circus Survive show,
Mhm.
which was for the Twilight Army tour.
Yes.
And with that one, Portugal the Man opened for them,
Oh, I love them.
which also sparked my love and passion for that band.
Mhm.
I love that I got to see them grow from the beginning to now being Grammy winners, and,
Yeah, that's so
like,
crazy.
I was just whenever they won that Grammy, like, I was just like, "Oh my god," like, I almost feel like and it's silly because it's like but I almost feel like a family of, like, I'm so
Right.
proud of them because
Right. No,
like,
same. I love
I
Portugal the Man.
literally saw them when they had this, like, silly, like, you know, homemade light show that they
Yes.
had, and it just was, like, Johnny on the keyboard,
Mhm.
and I remember because he had this, like, windbreaker jacket on, and he had the hood up over while he was playing pretty much the whole time, and it was back when he had really long hair, and just, like, oh my gosh, just to see where they came from, like, such a little, like, setup to being just this huge live presence was just wonderful, and they're so talented and just seem like such amazing people. So I was so glad that that was part of this, on
Mhm.
top of it all, like, it being the very first circus show, which everybody knows, that knows both of us, like, that's a big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
It was Circus Survive is a very big deal for both of us. But this was, also before Circa really had a big fancy setup as well.
Mhm.
So they had these, like, art panels up from, like, the album art around them, kind of like, more like a tapestry kind of, like,
Yeah, you're
material.
right. I'm
You know what I'm
remembering this.
talking about?
I remember what you're talking about. Yep.
And, like, the best I can describe in the picture was, like, these, like, little worm-looking people that had, like,
Yes.
teeth.
Yes. Yes. Oh my god, I
Basically,
see it. I can see this now.
yeah, like, I think of if you're not, like, if you aren't really a part of the whole circa scene, think as best as I could describe it as, like, Stranger Things with the
Yes.
little was it
Demogorgons.
darts?
Oh, no, dart.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
before they got big and, like, really scary, that's kinda what the creatures look like in this art. Um, so they had those, and, like, the show had given me goosebumps, and, like, I was hooked because just Anthony's vocals, like, just really hit me so hard, especially, like, just live. Um, and then after the show, because this was in a really tiny venue, okay? This used to be my favorite venue in St. Louis, called Off Broadway, and it was really small, like, I mean small, small. You always were able to meet people after the show because
Mm.
there was no backstage. Like, it was just, like, this small little area. And so, I got to go up after the show and, like, meet Anthony, but I was just so shy because at that point, like, the most interaction I had had with bands was at, like, Warp Tour, and it was just, like, a quick, like, there's a line, like, they know what they're getting, like, you know what I mean? You're getting like, signatures and maybe a picture, but
Right.
at that point in Warp Tour, like, pictures were harder to get because, like, back in the day, guys, we didn't have our phones really to take pictures.
No, you get the disposable cameras. I
It
would go to
wasn't
Walgreens.
right, it was not as accessible to have pictures. So, like, there's so many, like, musicians that I had met that I really wish I could have gotten pictures with. It just didn't
Mhm.
happen. So at the time, like, I could have gotten a picture with Anthony, but I was just really shy because at that point, getting pictures with musicians just seemed too much. It seemed awkward to ask for, and I didn't want to come off like just like one of those fans that are just so overbearing. And so I didn't ask. I did get a signature on that ticket, but that was it. And but luckily for me, that was not the only circus show I went to. I have gone to so many circus shows that I can't tell you how many there were because I've gone to see them in many different states all over so many times. And so not only did I end up getting lots of pictures of with everybody in the band, but it also led to so many lifelong friendships. It led to me meeting Lisa. It led to us having this podcast together. Like, it's I think it's just notable, like, everything we've talked about, like, how music has impacted us and everything, it all has led up to this podcast, and it's really this podcast really has done a lot of healing for us, and it means so much to us, so the fact that we're almost to 100 viewers, like, just it's amazing, and we're so thankful for you guys to be on this journey with us, and for us to be able to heal in this way, that me and her can talk about music, which is a big deal to us that we can never really do, and we've talked about how sometimes we were ashamed to talk about music. So, it all leads up to this.
It does, and again, had you not liked Circa, like,
Yeah.
I think about that a lot, and, oh, Circa is just oh, I even told you, like, I was watching the live stream. I think Anthony was doing some solo runs,
Yeah.
and I had it, not by me, but and he was live streaming it. And I was just like, anytime he gets on, and I know Circa sadly is no longer with us for now. Hopefully one day, maybe,
Maybe in
and
the future.
maybe in the future. But I respect, whatever's going on behind the scenes, maybe things we don't know and why they're not
Yeah.
playing. But at the same time, it's like, man, I'm not gonna lie. When sometimes I really enjoy Ellis Dunes. I think they're great.
Yeah.
It's definitely a band because I've heard people say some stuff that they've seen them at Riot Fest. You have to see this band in a small, not just small venue, but indoors because
Yeah.
you get that effect.
It's a totally different thing.
It is
I feel like that with,
unreal.
like, every band, though.
Yes.
It's the festival experience outside live, it's not the same as going to a
No.
venue.
No, it's so good, and it just made me miss Circa, and I hope, I mean,
Yeah.
again, so much support because I love Alice Dunes, but, like, I just, I wanna be respectful to everybody in that band, especially Anthony, but, like,
Yeah.
seriously, there's nothing like, I will always remember my first time with Circa, and again, like,
Cir I
I
think
have
we
a
should
funny
just note, like, Circa is very special for a lot of us, and us
Yes.
especially, but, like, we also just absolutely adore anything Anthony
Yeah,
works with.
oh my god, yeah, like, I mean, there's things that I'm like, I probably maybe wouldn't have checked out or maybe wouldn't have been a
Yeah.
part of, but it was something about him, and it's funny you say, like, you were nervous about, the photo
I
and
was so
autograph and things
nervous.
like that. My first run-in with Anthony was when I was sitting outside when I met you, and I was sitting
Yeah.
outside of that Reggie's Rock Club, and I had an AP magazine that was up, and, it was Anthony Green was on the cover. I brought it because I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get this signed," and, I was really nervous. I saw him come across the corner, and I know this is gonna sound really fangirly, whatever. This was years ago. Deal with it,
It
people.
happens.
But I was
Yeah.
sitting there and I was really, really nervous. And I'd never met. I'd seen Circa, I'd seen Anthony, but I never stuck around. I don't know why. Like I never did. I always would be that kid, but I don't know. Maybe stuff was going on, or so I was like, oh, this is gonna be my chance. It's Reggie's. It's so small in Chicago. It's so tiny. And I was really nervous when I saw him turn the corner with Meredith. and I literally, like, put the magazine up, like, on my knees because I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna pretend like I don't know, I don't see him." And he came by you and was like, "Hey, girl." And I remember then he looks at me and goes, "Hey, you write me nice stuff on my MySpace." And I was like, "Yeah," because I did, I wrote comments like, "Oh, I love
Yeah.
your music, blah, blah, blah," because it was so bands and people were so accessible back then. But I was like, "Wow, he probably thinks I'm the like, whatever." And then my friend had a Saves the Day patch, and he goes, "Oh, I love Saves the Day. They played at my wedding." And, he was talking about that, and then, like, after the show, I got a picture, and he was like, "Oh, like, hopefully I'll see you again at a show," whatever, and then that started, like, so much more of that with Circa, but, like,
Yeah.
again, I was nervous, and I will never forget that where, like, I put up with his face on the cover, like, up, like, "Okay," like, yeah, I see you, but, like, I don't know what to say." And then, like, nicest, down to earth, most wonderful
Oh, yeah.
human being ever, but at that time, I didn't know, and it was, like, just looking back, it was just like, "Oh,
Oh, I
okay."
know. It's like it's so silly because, like, I even think about it, like, as much as I had interactions with him and, like,
Right.
anybody in Circa, but, like,
Yeah.
just the sweetest person ever, like, of
Yeah.
all the people to be shy and scared of, like,
Right.
he's
Right.
not one of those people you need to be shy or
No.
scared of,
Oh my
and,
god,
like,
no.
you could just feel like the biggest, like, doofus ever, but, like, he's not gonna make you feel like that, and
No.
so just so sweet, so genuine, and, like, just absolutely adores his fans, because there's
Mhm.
so many people that don't, and
Yeah.
don't wanna spend the time with their fans, or they just feel like their fans don't have anything, like, I guess, substantial to talk about,
Yeah.
and he's not one of those people. He is
No.
going to listen to whatever you wanna talk about. He's gonna keep the conversation going with you. He's gonna give you the best hug you've ever had in your life.
Oh my god, yeah, I tell people all the time, "I need my AG hug," and I got cheated at the Asbury Park show for LS Dunes because security was and I get they're charged trying to do their job, but I got
Yeah.
cheated out of my AG hug, and I was like, "I need this," and because it is, and, like, I agree with everything you say there with about him too, because there's been things I've shared with him. Just because we did develop that kind of relationship, like going to
Yeah.
shows and stuff like you have and others have, I'm sure, listening too. And I think there's been some really things I've gone through, whether it was a breakup or really, really tough shit. And literally, I don't know what it was, but his little words of wisdom he would give me. I don't care if my mom said it or like a friend said it. Somehow
Yeah.
when he said it, I just
It's different.
absorbed it. And it was
Yeah.
one of those things. And I think that's why, like, oh God, I have so many memories with Circa. I feel like I'm almost like,
I
I know
know.
we did an episode, but I'm like, God, there's so much more that I could have dove.
It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we've talked about them, but here's the thing. If anybody knows us, knows this podcast is kind of rooted a little bit in that, because that's how we
Mhm.
met.
Yeah.
Um, it's what makes us just so passionate to talk about everything. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
feel like Circa was probably a tipping point for both of us when it comes to like who we're listening to and like who they are as people.
Yeah.
Because for me, especially like meeting Anthony and all the guys in Circa, and it helped to break that like weird pedestal that I
Hmm.
know a lot of us tend to get when it comes to musicians or just celebrities in general, where it's like we think they're these like unreachable people
Yeah.
and like we're not worthy of them kind of thing. And I definitely feel like for me, like getting to know them a little bit and having these interactions with them lets me know like no, these are just people too. They're able to help us, and they make us feel better about ourselves, but they are still humans. And that kind of helped me, ground me, and like musicians are people, like celebrities are people, and like I can, talk that up to them and helping me like get that sense of like normalcy when it comes to musicians. You know what I mean?
No. Oh, so much. I feel like I could just sit here and talk Circa all day. But, like, anyone let us know
So
if you wanna do a
always.
part 2, if you wanna do a part 2. But it is oh god, like, oh, man, I'm so glad I went in a little different direction because, like, I feel like I almost picked Circa, but then I'm like, "We'll probably just get on him anyways," but so many
Yes, because
memories.
I'm like, they're gonna get brought up anyways. That's just
But
who we are.
right, it's just this life, and I think just to with Anthony, there have been many things I've talked about to where he has told me, like, I hope when I would say, like, I would love to change the game as like a female talking about music and
Yeah.
doing that. And he was like, oh, you will someday. Like, he just gives your fan, like, he gives you, oh, again, like,
He makes
words
you
cannot,
feel
yeah.
like you're not just, you makes you feel like a worthwhile person,
Yes. And
and
like, I get why
not
people flock.
everybody gives you that, you know what I mean?
No,
And there's
no,
just something special in Anthony Green as a human being that he
mhm.
doesn't make you feel less than.
No. And there was one time I remember I said, like, thanks for, I forget what he said or whatever, like, thanks for all his advice or whatever it was. I don't even remember. I think there was even a time period I wrote him a letter. Again, I know people will be like, "What?" I wrote him a letter, like, to thank him for everything he's done in my life. And I remember he said, "But, I didn't do any of this. You did it. Maybe I gave you the push with my music or who I am or, comfort in the music, but you've done what you've done. You've made those strides to either better yourself or get better." And I think that was so important too. And it was like, again, one of those things like anyone else probably told me that, but it was something in that moment of handing him that letter of, because how much I was touched. And it's like, I think, again, like if you've had this similar thing with a favorite band of yours or artist, again, you know what we're talking about. And it's so wonderful. And like, just, yeah. But, I think too, just so many memories and, like, I guess, my memory is a little different, and I'm gonna say too, like, there's so many, but this one stuck out, and I'm hoping I have not shared it on this podcast because I even asked Justine, I've asked
I couldn't
because I
remember,
was like, "Did
but
I talk about this?" Because it's just something that sticks out, and it's one of my favorite ones, and but I mean, a lot of my memories are gonna come from shows, and I think I'll listen to a band and love them, but I really think I fall in love with music when I see an artist live. And again, like, eh, I could talk about Circa, but I feel like I just did, and that was in my notes to talk about him, but we just did, so I'm gonna skip over that. But Gaslight Anthem is another artist that I don't know, again, like, I don't know, guys, but I'm gonna go there. I was at Riot Fest, and I wanna say this was the first year it was the carnival because, before Riot Fest did the carnival, it was just at different venues across the city, and you'd have to go, like, to Beat Kitchen, then you'd have to go to Congress Theater, then Metro. That's how it was, and, like, all around the town and everything, and, I just think of it in that way. But it was really cool this year to see it in a carnival when it was, and Gaslight Anthem was on it. They were later in the day, and I was so excited to see them play. And I was with someone I was dating at the time, not a good relationship, to be quite honest. I think we see a theme here. But one of those that you should have definitely gotten out of, but you couldn't for some reason. That was me. And we were there together. And it was a weird situation because when I would go to shows, I would go alone and be fine with that. That's how I met friends. That's, at one point, I want to say I was sitting there watching August Burns Red, and I had no idea where my boyfriend at the time was. I had no idea. He sort of just left me, which again, at the time I was like, oh, I'm okay with because it just felt normal to me, which again, I'm around music. This is my comfort. In a normal setting, if he left me anywhere, I don't know, but I was just in my comfort and I'm gonna set the scene for everybody. And there I was sitting on the curb because again, Riot Fest was in this park and there was curbs. So I sat down on the curb, just hanging out alone. I think I had a turkey burger. Like I'm sitting there eating my lunch, being like, I don't know, people probably being like, who's this girl sitting there? In reality, no one is caring. But I am because I'm sitting there alone on a curb eating a turkey burger of all things. Like, I don't know. But I'm sitting there and this girl came down and sat by me and was like, "Hey, my friends left me too." And I was just like, we just sat there talking about music and how she wanted to see the Gaslight Anthem. And I'd mentioned I did as well. We got to talk about like other things. And when her friends came back, she sort of invited me into her little group. And they didn't really want to see Gaslight Anthem. And so she was like, you want to go with? And again, the perfect stranger. Our only common thing was music. And yet we connected as soon as she was giving me sitting down with me. And here I was walking to the other side of Riot Fest. If you've ever been, like, it's a hike, and we were taking a walk. She was giving me drink tickets, talking to me again, like, "Oh, this is so awesome. Oh, so I'm glad to meet another fan," and like, "Oh, this is gonna be so great." And again, like, not even thinking about it, like looking back now, it's like, wow, like a complete stranger, and it just seems so normal. And so then we go ahead, get our drink tickets, and we just ended up enjoying that moment of like seeing Gaslight Anthem. And I think anyone that's ever been to a show alone or left at a fest or whatnot, or you can just relate. And I never saw her again that day. But honestly, it's a forever memory tied to Riot Fest and Gaslight Anthem and just being in love with Gaslight Anthem because that was the first time I saw them. And I like, that was another band. Like, I liked their CDs, but live, they just I was in love. Like I had to see them live to really get it. And I think it was just an incredible moment for me too. And I think again, it's just I feel like there's been so many times I've ran into similar people at shows, which is just so amazing. And I feel the universe is always pulling me towards my people. Uh and so to speak. And if that girl somehow remembers this and is listening to this, you're amazing. And I really needed it that day. Because shortly after that, I got out of that horrible relationship. Uh and it was the greatest thing. But I think it just goes to show like that memory, like literally sitting by myself, kind of like, yeah, this is okay, but like not really, because like who just leaves their girlfriend sitting here, Like, okay, again, you want to see different bands, that's another story, right? Like I've done that where I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go see so and so, I'll meet you up over here. But it was just different. And I think again, like that just goes to say like music, festival shows, like you just get your kind of people. Yes. Are there a few like people that are like, yeah, that's life, that's everywhere. But I don't know. I'll forever remember that and how special that was. And I think I just needed that girl to be like, "Hey, you don't need that guy." Because again, I left him after. And I don't know. I just I don't know if I've shared that. I'm sure I have, and someone's gonna be like, "Oh my God, I heard this." And if I ask G's gonna be like, "Yeah, I've heard this like 10 times." But it's just so important. And I think moments like that are like what really stick out too.
Oh, definitely.
Like it just it was
It's
such a
those
great time.
little acts of kindness that you don't ever forget.
No, and maybe she saw me. I was like, "Oh, she looks sad." I don't know, like, you never know, and I think just that connection or I've had so many people that, like, I'll randomly meet, and I'm like, "Oh, I'll never see them again." Everybody used to tell me, "Oh, you'll never see them again." Sure enough,
Not always.
next show, like, you
Yeah.
guys like, you and then other people too that are probably listening, like, I would see it all like, we would almost meet up, "Hey, you're going to the next show? What about this show? What about that show?" And Warped Tour was a big one, and like, "Oh, you're going?" "Yeah, I'm going." And somehow, even if I wouldn't talk to them or speak to them, we'd somehow meet, like, weird. Like, again, I think it's like the universe pulling all of us music lovers together, so for sure. And again, now the moment that I guess I don't know if anyone's waiting for this. I am, because I don't know Justine's soundtrack, but, for this one, we are picking 10 songs that if we pass the soundtrack on to someone, we feel will best represent us in whatever way or however we feel about these songs. But of course, this is so difficult because I almost had like 20 down. I'm like, I can't. I said 10, so I had to nail it down. But it's 10 songs, but just because something is not added does not mean it doesn't mean something to us, because I could see that going on. You guys know us, we love so many different music, and different artists. So if you do not hear something, just it's 10 songs. You try it and see how hard it is. But Justine, let's hear yours, Justine. I want to hear
Oh my gosh. I've been looking at it like while
it.
we've been talking too, and I'm like, oh my God, my soundtrack's actually kind of depressing, but
Oh
like
no.
there's a lot of really sad like innuendos and stuff on it. So I swear I'm okay, everybody.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. I'm ready.
Okay. And in no certain order, I kind of was like going through like my Spotify and like trying to not overthink it. And
Mhm.
I'm just like, okay, this is a really important song. And so it was, you know what I mean? So I was just kind of like pumping them out. Okay. So the first one I put down is Maps by the Front Bottoms.
Ooh, oh my gosh, and I
It's
love that song.
just, that
Yeah.
song always stood out for me. I
Mhm.
love it. Fake Happy by Paramore.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before. Shit by Bo Burnham.
Yes, yes, yeah, I was saying, he better be on there.
As a Stare Like You'll Stay by Circus Survive.
Mhm.
Girl Anachronism by the Dresden Dolls. Sleep Forever by Portugal the Man.
Ooh.
Happier Than Ever by Billie Eilish.
Again, if Billie Eilish was not on there.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I Want to Break Free by Queen.
Ooh, y'all, so good.
I can't talk. Rebel Girl by Bikini Kill.
Mhm.
And last but not least, The Fragile by Nine Inch Nails.
Ooh, oh, I know what I'm gonna have to do. I think I'm gonna have to redo the playlist and put these on. Like, so if people want to listen to our soundtracks, because like that's now I want to listen to yours. I'm like, I gotta like write this down because like you had some really good ones on there. So now, oh, I love that. And I feel like that is like if you gave
I
that to
was
me,
like
that is just
looking at
seen.
the list and I was like, wow, a lot of these are pretty depressing or at least rooted in some kind of like sadness.
I'm
But like, it's me.
yeah,
That's all very
like
me.
I'm looking at mine, I'm like, "Oh, shit. How did I not have Paramore on there?" Like, I can't believe, like, but whatever, but, oh, I love it. I am. I will definitely, guys, I will post this, I think, on the playlist. Maybe I'll get a link and put it, like, on the Instagram, which again, we're at Instagram at stereo.therapy or stereo period therapy, whatever you wanna say. We are there. So look there. Maybe I'll post that there too. But this was so hard, but I would
It's really
definitely
hard.
I gotta have Mystery by Turnstile because I know some are gonna say, of course, a song off Glow On and go after me, but I don't care. I've loved Turnstile for a while, but I think this song just, I don't know. Whenever it goes on, and I just love Turnstile so much. They are the band that I feel like I am trying to get every single person I know into, and like, you must like them. I'm like that Breaking Bad, where like, you will like Breaking Bad. No, you will like Turnstile. That is me. So I had to put them on. Um, Something I Call Personality by Newfound Glory, because I love, love, love Newfound Glory. And it's wild to think I've been listening to them since I was in the 8th grade. And this band is just like my first pop punk like loves, and they've just remained that, and I just have such a heart for this damn band forever and always. The Middle, Jimmy Eat World. I mean, again, a few
Of
episodes
course.
back, I have
Yeah.
explained this, but this track is just so important in my life, and this band, Cross Out the Eyes by Thursday, again, Thursday is such an important band and a gateway to so many other bands and types of music in my life. Loving Thursday really made me fall in love with live shows because they're just insane. And I love Jeff Rickley. He, much like Anthony, Jeff Rickley is, just, I could go on about Jeff Rickley on Thursday. Then I have Mixtape by Brand New, because I know, guys, but again, it is just, I've said this before, this band is how I met my fiance, and I would be lying to
Yeah. It would
anyone
be
or
weird if it wasn't on there.
right, or any soundtrack, if somehow this band in this songs, particularly like when about how I fell in love with Brand New is Your Favorite Weapon, even though as other albums went on, it was like, not so much. I still do, but yes, I have to put that Passenger by the Deftones, because finding Deftones completely changed my life, and I'm hoping somehow we'll put like a new metal or like some kind of episodes where I can like just, I just love the Deftones so much, and I think one day you will get that rant that nobody wants to hear, but maybe some people want to hear. I don't know. You let me know. This band is just, I could go on. I love the Deftones so much, and they're so important to me musically and just life. Why Control, the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. May not have Paramore, but I put Karen O on there because she is
Okay,
the
that's good.
one.
Yeah.
I've gushed and gushed about Karen O. Again, just love her so much. Um, Tell That Mick by Fall Out Boy. Again, this band holds the album Take This to Your Grave that has changed my life. If you listen to the previous podcast, you know, in that episode, yeah, this, whenever I hear that din 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 din, like that dial tone, I know that Fall Out Boy. No, just I hear that. Tell That Mick. I could not have a soundtrack without Fall Out Boy. Again, I've got to go ahead and I've got to do Circus Survive, holding someone's hair back. Again,
Yes.
you knew I wouldn't forget
Yes.
about Circa, and it was coming. This song just made me fall in love with the band, and I still get chills whenever I hear it. The opening of it, whenever they used to open with it, I know some tours they
Yes.
open with it, and like it was just, oh my god. And again, my last one is gonna have to be This was so hard again, but I have to go in Exile by Thrice because I have to include Thrice. I love Thrice so much, and there's just something so special about this song live. Just when I listen to it, and I'm just taken. I don't know. I'll listen to the song and I'll be like, this band literally exists. Like, I don't know. It's one of those things like that meme where they're like, what? That's me anytime I hear Thrice play this song. So like I had to put them on. Um, and again, we could have, I know Justine, you too, we could have listed so many more, but I think I just
Yeah.
tried my best to capture like, hey,
You did good.
this is
It's
me.
definitely I could picture you with all that. I should have explained all my songs. I just kind of like named them off. You kind of gave little explanations with yours.
Because I don't, because that's just me. I'm weird
I
like
probably should
that.
have gave some explanations. I'm just gonna be mysterious, and y'all just have to figure
Yes.
out why I put these songs on there.
Yes, just go yeah. No, that was me kind of I don't know, me, maybe that people pleaser, be like, "Hey, I'm gonna explain myself, guys, so you know why I picked it and like why I didn't pick others." Like,
Oh my gosh.
that's probably freaking why I did it. 100%. But again, like, this was so much fun to do too, because I think it was something I've always wanted to do on the previous podcast too. And I just think it's so interesting. And like, we would love to hear your soundtracks. Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
figure out a way. I guess we want to hear all your soundtracks. So I guess please submit them somehow. I'm thinking you can maybe head over to our website and do that. You can go to www.stereotherapypod.com. Say that 3 times fast. I like have a thing I have to say that slowly, so I totally get it. But we would really love to hear and see what everyone else puts on theirs because I have a feeling, even just myself, I could probably create so many, and I feel like mine would be like a 3 CD set, like
Yeah.
one of those if I had
Yeah.
my way. Same for you. Like I'm
Oh
sure it
yeah.
would be the same thing. But we just wanted to keep it a little short. But we hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we have so much more on the way. We really do, and we're really excited about it. We have back-to-back guests coming up, which is the first time for us, which is really exciting. And we're really excited about those. And we truly appreciate again anyone taking the time to listen to our podcast. And thanks so much for making that Under Oath episode again, one of our most successful listening weeks for us. It's never about the numbers with us, but that really says that like that's resonating with someone and you guys like that. And
Yeah.
it was so awesome to see that. I was like, oh my gosh.
It's like it's not about the numbers, but for us, if we see views, it's for us more so the fact that we are reaching people
Mm-hmm.
more than anything. It has nothing to do with like wanting to get like famous by any means, but for us, we just want to know that what we talk about resonates with people. So for us, if we see numbers rising, we just know that we're getting to the right people, if that makes sense.
No, it's a yeah, absolutely. Because I'll tell people that. I'm like, I don't and the only reason I even knew how the subscriber number was getting up to 100 is because like it'll randomly tell me. I'm like, wow, like that's just wild. Like we're less than 6 months of this. And again, we appreciate all that because that's so great. Like I hope you something sticks with you and you feel less alone, or you find something you're like, hey, if that's like me, like that's the goal. And that's so awesome. So totally appreciate that. And again, like, oh, could go on about that, but this episode was just such an important one to do too, and just a fun one. So again, submit yours, please, please, please. And we will see you guys next Tuesday, bright and early, ready to go. I think with our guest, I think I'm going to try and get that one out because I'm really excited
Yeah.
about that one. We'll see, guys. But yes, I'm not even going to say who it is. You have to wait. Like, go to our Instagram and check it out. You'll get the promo. That's what we'll do. But we will see you guys next Tuesday. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.